All right. Without further ado, welcome everybody to that Hella Dank podcast. We're here. Today is Wednesday, but by the time you guys will be seeing this episode comes out this Friday. Halloween actually. So happy Halloween, motherfuckers.
What are you dressing up as?
Plague Doctor.
Not a slutty nun this year, huh?
Not a slutty nun, no. So today we have previous guests from episode 13. Let's see, episode 13. Author, my family, Noah Hawthorne from the Shama Publishing.
Ow!
And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming through. You know, this is like we said, we've been in the making for this, so it's. I was looking at our last episode, and I was like, oh, yeah, we did that, like, last year. It was a year ago, but it was only March 1st is when we did it. And
oh, really? That's what I was thinking. Last year,
I thought it was last year.
Oh.
Like, I thought it was, like, last November or something, you know? But, like, it's like, no. Because, so, we left off on the last episode talking about... well, actually, before we get there, so for those of you who haven't watched the previous episode, Noah Hawthorne runs Neshama Publishing. They have wrote 12 indie books. For those that don't know, can you explain again, like, what is an indie book and what does it mean? Yeah.
Okay, so indie publishing is when you publish it on your own without a publishing house. So, some people have editors, they have marketing people, they're hiring people to help, but they are still putting the book out themselves. So that would be indie published. So you got like indie artists, indie musicians, indie authors. So this is my 12th one, and I have learned a lot on what to do and what not to do. And there's very different ways you can go about it. But yeah, basically the simple definition is you were putting something out independently without the aid of a manager, I guess. You're your own boss.
Right. And how long now have you been in the game?
2021, I think, is when I did the Eternal Machine.
Right.
Or 2020.
Yeah, it was like the heart of COVID. I remember reading your books, and the masks were plentiful in the car. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
let's see. It's OG.
It's a fancy hardcover.
They're dope books.
2021, yeah.
Yeah, the Eternal Machine. I love everything about that. Yeah, 2021. Yeah. So it's crazy how that was like. Feels like it wasn't long ago, but that's almost 5 years now. Crazy.
Well, like what, 2021 to 2022 just kind of all blended in, right?
Right. So 2021 you started and you debuted with the Eternal Machine series. And from there you have done Phantom and Rook, Rebel Foxes. Like, you've done books that I don't even remember. Like, you've done a lot. And so last episode, going from there, we discussed this book that you have out now, which I believe it dropped the 28th yesterday, right?
Yes, yesterday was release day.
Nice. And so I'll just go ahead and I'll read what do you call it? The prologue?
The blurb?
The blurb. The whatever's on the back of the book. What is that called?
That would be the blurb.
The blurb. Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay.
If you want it read, I can read it, but you don't have to. But it's just...
go ahead.
Yeah, I can give you the quick summary here.
Well, why don't you read the blurb, and then maybe if you have a different way to describe it, then go ahead and do that.
Okay, you can put whatever you like in your fancy editing thing, Dobby. Cornelius Sawyer is a man of many talents, but forgiveness is not one of them. Watt Johnson is a man of his word, but not once in his life has he spoken up for himself. Once connected by the bonds of childhood, threads now severed by the demands of life, the pair are brought together for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. An all-expenses paid expedition to Brazil, searching for a man the world believes to be long dead, Percy Fawcett, and perhaps even the lost city he was looking for. Under the guise of doing research work for their respective universities, a reluctant Cornelius and exhilarated Watt accept the offer and delve into the unknown, trusting no one but themselves. Looking at a map, the route and its dangers seem to be known obstacles which can be easily conquered, a fact Watt leans on heavily. But Cornelius is intimately aware that the river has teeth, that the land renders a siren song to those who are desperate to become lost in its mountains and basins. To survive the journey, they'll have to face the enemies within and trust the other to have their best interests in mind. After all, the voice of wild places is calling, beckoning the adrift homeward.
Now, how do you have a different way you would like to describe this book in your own words?
The way that I see it is,
well, I know, but like you said, like, would you like to describe it or read the blurb?
Wrote that blurb, bro.
And so I felt like there was something that you wanted to add that may not have been in there.
No, just the quick and dirty version is it's about a pair of former childhood friends that they got separated, and now they come together as adults, and they're supposed to find this guy, Percy Fawcett, who was a real person, and they try to find him, or maybe the lost city he was looking for, or maybe they find something else entirely. So that's basically my quick version, is just, for some reason they're not friends anymore. Now they're being forced to go on this trip together. We're going to see what happens.
Nice. Now, is this the start of a series, or is this a standalone like story?
It's a standalone. It could have more added on to it, but I really wanted to practice not writing a series because my first few books were series, and it's a lot to commit to, and I really just wanted to, each book I do, I tried to challenge myself, and this was to make it, was supposed to be like 60,000 words, like half the size it is.
God, that sounds like so much.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, so this is technically a historical fiction, right?
Yeah, it takes place in 1930.
Right. It's because Percy Fawcett, that was a real guy, right? Or person.
That was a real guy. It was this fella right here. This is compiled by his son, Brian Fawcett. It's all of his journals and notes, and then Brian also went looking for his father in the 1950s, and he added his own details and notes into it. So I read this for research, and I read a few other ones, but he disappeared in 1925. And there were several people that went looking for him. There was a guy who made a film about it, Manhunting in the Jungle. His name was, I think, Captain Dyatt. I think that's how you pronounce it. But there was a lot of people that went looking and had different stories about what happened to him. Some people thought he was killed, or that he moved in with the indigenous people and started a new family, or that they became sick. There was just a lot of different stories, and we still don't know to this day what happened to him. And he was looking for this lost city of Z. That's what he called it, the city of Z, or Zed. And that was based on a document that his wife actually found called Raposo's document. And that's what he was looking for. Not necessarily treasure, but like an Atlantis-type kind of city, like very advanced and just sophisticated and beautiful, and like in the middle of the Amazon in Brazil.
Now, is that the same as El Dorado? Is that, or is it a different story?
It's different. Originally, I was going to write a story that took place in Colombia because there was a lot more information and stories and legends to go off of, like El Dorado. But we kind of know where that myth came from, and it kind of has an end, whereas this doesn't really have an end, which makes it perfect for fitting in fiction and putting in what you thought might have happened.
So where did this idea, like, it's really fascinating. I love it. I love this kind of stuff, and it's really cool that you did this. Where did this idea come from? Like, when just in your head, like, oh, this is the book. Like, where did that come from?
My friend sent me a meme.
It's always the meme.
On Tumblr, and it was based on some quotes from a book. Oh, it's up there, I think.
Your massive library behind you.
Yeah, I was trying to be prepared, but this is also another book that I used to research at The Lost City of Z by David Gran. And, but anyway, She sent me a meme, and it was about these explorers, and the river ran east, and it took that place in the 50s, and it was also happened, but it was very, like, tension between these two guys, and it was, like, essentially... The meme kept adding on, and the theme of it was the gay we found along the way. So I was like, what if? She's like, you gotta write this story. And I'm like, oh, I will someday, you know. And this was back forever ago, years ago. And I was like, what if I did, though? And that's how, and I always... I love The Mummy. I love Indiana Jones. I love historical fiction. I love archaeology. Like, I would have been an archaeologist in another life. So it's just... a way to do that through fiction and through writing, and you know, so that's how that kind of started. And 3 years I ended up was what I put into it, which was the longest I worked on a book.
Wow, this has been 3 years in the making.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Damn. I thought it was just a year, but.
Oh no, I've done a lot of research and collected a lot of memorabilia and like really tried to do justice to the story.
Right. And I guess now that what you were going to say, like last podcast we did, you were discussing some research and stuff that you were already, and how it was. I just didn't realize it was that long. That's, yeah, that's pretty cool. So, before we get further into the book, we've discussed something that you've done. I believe you said this was your first time, something that is referred to as a Kickstarter program. What is that? Why did you do it, and how does it help with your book?
So in the past, I've always just kind of done like really small pre-order campaigns, like pre-order through my bookstore, and you'll get bookmarks, art prints, things like that. And like you can pre-order through retailers online, like Bookshop or Barnes and Nobles, things like that. But this time I wanted to try something different because I had a couple author friends that did this, and it was a Kickstarter. So basically the idea is when you publish a book, like the cover was almost $800, and if you're paying for an editor, that's usually hundreds if not thousands of dollars you're putting into it. I did not. I have beta readers and edit myself. But when you publish a book, you're starting in the red, and there's not any guarantee that it's going to do well. So I was able to pay for my cover out of pocket, but some people may not be able to do that. So they do the Kickstarter, so that way they know the book is going to pay for itself, and when it releases, it's already paid for.
Okay.
And it also provides a way, like, different from just doing pre-orders through your store. It's like, if we hit this mark, we can do a stretch goal and do all this extra stuff. Like, we can do bonus stories, and we can do a special edition and stuff like that. And it makes it easy to fulfill that using Kickstarter as opposed to doing it on your own. And you also, like, I got a lot of people brought to the pre-orders through Kickstarter's page. You know what I mean? Like their algorithm or whatever.
Right.
Is that a lot of the battle too? Is like with the advertising and stuff, figuring out like what the algorithm is pushing or not, or does that have a lot to do with it?
Oh my God, it has everything to do with it. Especially like when you're self-published, and even when you are traditional publishing now, they really expect authors to do all their own marketing, which is supposed to be the big pub is you just write the book. You don't have to do everything else. But you still kind of have to market for yourself. And yeah, it's really difficult, especially when you're marketing queer stories. Like, they get really hidden, and it's just really difficult. So that helped quite a bit. But yeah, it's a constant beast that you're having to defeat or chase or however you want to say it. But whether it's Instagram, TikTok, wherever, you just constantly have to try to be seen, be consistent, but not just regurgitating the same content. So that can be really difficult, and it takes away from your writing a lot of the time.
Right. And so the Kickstarter kind of, I guess in a sense, I won't say like not pay to play, but it's like it's helping you so that way they can, get the pre-order, but it also helps you do the best you can with what you can to just make a good book and make it fun for your readers.
Yeah, and like I was able, like, so there was different tiers. So like on the reader side of things, you could get an ebook. You could get my whole digital backlist, which is like all the ebooks I've ever done, for a lot cheaper than you would elsewhere. So that's like a cheap way to support the Kickstarter, but still get a lot. And there were signed paper books, and then I also did what was called venture boxes, which was like stickers, art prints, bookmarks, and that was cheaper doing it that way for the person buying it. And then I also like offered painted edges. So that was a way for me to provide more value without having to financially put a lot more into it. Same with annotating them. So people wanted like, annotating is when you like underline or different things in the story. So like being a historical fiction, I would like say this was an actual place. Like you probably can't really see it, but I underlined like Maxine's, and it's now called the Tavern on Carmack, like that, which people really enjoyed. So I didn't have to financially put a lot more into it, just my time.
Okay. Is this something you would recommend to like say if someone, maybe their first book wants to do kind of what you're doing, like whether it's queer books, just something small that might, they're not no, I hate to use J.K. Rowling as an example, but you know what I mean. It's just like, would you say that it's a good way to try to get what you're trying to do out there, or what would you say about that?
I think if you do not have the startup money, it really helps and it shows that there's interest, but for your first book, do not put thousands of dollars into it. You were going to hate your first book in 5-10 years. Like maybe do it a little, and like I won't do this for every book. It was really great. It was really fun, but it was also really stressful. Like I didn't want to let people down. And because it did well, I sent out over 30 packages. And I still have 11 more to do. And I did mess up someone's package. They wanted painted edges, and I sent them one that was unpainted. So I'm sending them a new book, and they're perfectly fine with that. And, it was great. It's a lot. So for your first time, it might be overwhelming. But I think I would do it again, maybe for another standalone or something like that.
Right. Well, I remember, we video chat all the time, and I saw what your living room looked like. It looked like a printing press factory almost.
Yeah. It was a lot.
Awesome.
Hustling, dude. Hustling.
Slinging books.
Slinging that paper. Okay, so so I wasn't sure, like, so we talked a little bit about this book, but like the queer, I don't know what you want to call it, like the representation of this book, is that like you do really well at, you represent everybody in your books, whether it's anyone from disabled to trans, ethnicity, like you do it all. Is there, like, forgive me if I'm asking, like, is there an underlying statement that goes with this story, or is that like part of it at all? Yeah.
I think the big thing to take away is that these type of people have always existed. There's always been disabled people. There's always been autistic people. There's always been queer people. They just were described differently back then. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's a big thing that people can probably take away from it. And like I say, it's 1930, and you might not think that that wasn't a thing back then, but it really was. And like this book starts off where they're going into a speakeasy. And the place they went to was an actual place. At the time, it was called Maxine's. It was in Philadelphia. And it had white people, black people, Italians, all sorts of different, and they were all queer. And it was an actual space that existed, and it was not the only one. In like New York City, all these different places. And it was really nice to be able to show that, and also to show like Cornelius is disabled and how he goes about that in 1930. And I saw something once when talking about historical fiction. Do you want to be historically accurate or mindful? Because 1930 sucked for a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
There was discrimination, and you did have to hide. Just because those people existed didn't mean you didn't have to hide.
But I mean,
so you have to...
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you have to... No, you're fine. You have to, be respectful, but also honest, and show the characters kind of learning and growing and shedding their own biases that they have about themselves and others.
Okay, because like at the beginning you talked about how they like kind of like maybe aren't fighting each other, but have like tension against each other.
Well, Frank and Bob are just longtime roommates. Don't you know that?
Yeah, but so I mean, maybe I'm sure there's got to be a lot that adds to their stress or whatever. But like, that's a factor too in this book?
Yeah, well, Cornelius grows up in Michigan in a place called Harbor Springs. Again, real place. It was kind of like here where it's really busy in the summer. It's a big touristy place, but then once the weather changes, it's dead. It's like rural, middle of nowhere. So Watt comes from a very privileged and wealthy family, and his family would vacation there, and they became friends. And at the time, Cornelius was known as Annie Tremblay, French-Canadian. And then around teenagehood, Cornelius ends up showing up at Watt's house, telling him how he's changed. Dad gets real upset, Watt's dad, and Watt's having a fever and doesn't remember any of this. So they leave. They never vacation there again, and neither of them really get the full story of what happened. So it's a lot to deal with, a lot of miscommunication.
That's good.
They do eventually.
That sounds like a good story. I want to read that shit.
Yeah, I when I read the blurb and just talking to you about this book, like I'm excited to read it too. It's going to be a lot of fun. So you have Cornelius and Watt is the other guy's name. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about him. What's
about Watt?
Yeah.
So he was a World War I veteran. He was drafted at the time. He was in New York City, so he was part of the 307th Infantry. That was also part of an infamously known incident involving what was called the 77th Division, and they were actually lost, kind of, in the forests of France. And there's a lot of history there, and I got to incorporate him visiting the actual memorial and gravestones in Central Park of the remaining people that survived.
I don't feel like you have to divulge too much without sorry. Just I don't want you to feel like you're giving shit away.
I'm trying to make sure I stay on track and get to tell you interesting things. I'm just trying to put my words carefully.
Okay.
But yeah, there was miscommunication, and a group of these different divisions of soldiers were sent into the forest, and they ended up getting flanked and surrounded by the enemy. One thing led to another, and they're being fired upon by artillery by their own people. And they lost so many men from friendly fire. And it was just a really wild story, and they had the carrier pigeons back then.
Yeah.
So there was 5, and they kept trying to send pigeons back saying, "You've got the wrong coordinates, quit bombing us." They lost all the pigeons except for one. Had a broken wing. Part of its leg ended up getting blasted off, but it made it back. And they're like, "For the love of God, stop firing upon us. You've got it wrong." And that was an actual thing that happened. Like, Jeremy was the name of the pigeon, ended up getting stuffed. It's in the Smithsonian now. And it's just one of those really tiny details that is like 3 lines in the book. But it was really fun to include. So, yeah, Watt's story, he was a soldier, seen a lot of shit, been through a lot. And he's dealing with a lot of that, and also trying to be the perfect child and realizing no matter what you do, you're never going to make your family happy. So you just kind of need to do your own thing. And he's at that stage in his life where he's like, "I'm doing this because I want to, not because anyone's telling me to."
Right. That's a whole envelope of just what humanity is right there. Like that guy.
There's a whole thing of trauma. We're gonna leave that there.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, like, war is always traumatizing for anyone who's part of it, but man, World War I was particularly nasty.
It really was. It was really brutal and unnecessary. I mean, all war really is, but like it was just so unnecessary and violent, and like a lot of the people that were survived either killed themselves or had PTSD, or they were left physically disabled, and like so that gets brought up and touched upon. So while he might not be physically disabled, he did lose the tip of a finger, but may not be physically disabled, he mentally is going through a lot.
Right. Yeah. Wow. And I mean, and that was in the late 1800s when they go on this grand voyage looking for this city, or the 1930s.
No, this is in 1930.
The 1930s.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah. And so that just living at that time, anything is stressful. Yeah. So is like you talk about your interest in historical fiction and then your representation in this book. Is there a way you can get a central theme that like what would you say the statement of a book like this is? Like human resilience, like if, sorry if I asked kind of the same question, but is there like a central theme of it?
Unofficially, white people are assholes, especially white religious people in South America.
Right. Yeah, and that's yeah.
And especially dealing with archaeology of the time, you gotta think, like, so another thing about Watt is he was involved in the finding of Tutankhamun's tomb. And the finding of that tomb and all of that really helped, I don't know about kickoff, but fuel more that mummy fever. How many artifacts and mummies and things were desecrated just by people, rich people being indulgent and stupid. Like, that was the thing. How many indigenous peoples were taken advantage of and converted, all in the name of being civilized and like everyone else.
Just the laws.
And yeah, there's just a lot of it, and especially with them going into South America, they deal with missionaries, they deal with indigenous peoples that are in the process of being civilized in the name of progress, and what that looks like and how wrong it can be. So that's a lot that you really have to consider. And I think that was really important to be one of the main themes, is that you could be a good explorer, but not a good man. And like, that's kind of how Percy Fawcett was. He was a really great explorer, but not really the greatest man, because his wife, although she contributed so much to his career, and really without her, he wouldn't be able to do what he did. He wouldn't let her go. The jungle wasn't a place for a woman. A woman had her place in the home. And the indigenous peoples were savages, and they were less than. They weren't even really like fully human in him.
Right.
So we really idolize people like that without knowing the full story, and you can appreciate parts of people, but still realize that not everything starts from something good. So like archaeology, even a really rough start, and now you can see how much more ethical it is. And
right.
I don't know if it would have been that way if it didn't. I don't know. It's just a lot to think about.
I mean, there's some dark shit when it comes to archaeology, and it's like not even archaeology, but I'm pretty sure it was like in Egypt back in the day, before they really understood what mummies were. They thought that they were this person had power or some. So mummies were actually, and people can look this up. Mummies were basically ground into like pill capsules, where it was thought that if you took capsules of ground mummy, that you would like attain like health, and it would give you resilience. Like people did crazy shit.
That's foul.
Yeah, people ate dead mummies because they thought it'd give them power.
They resorted to cannibalism.
Yeah, it was like eating like just human jerky with wrappings. But like you think of like all the artwork, because ancient Egypt is known, like besides King Tut's tomb, that was rare. A lot of those tombs were grave robbed, and the bodies are missing. Like hundreds if not thousands of mummies like have been removed from their places because of and it was always the rich British people or people of royalty or whatever. Their party drug was ground up mummy, essentially. It's just crazy, but
it really was. It's like so weird to put it like that, but that's how it was.
You think about it, like you're at a tea party and you're like, yo, I got this chronic mummy capsule. No, but it's so dumb, because so many of like their art, the British Museum is a classic example, but like a lot of stuff from Egypt anyway is in like private collections, where there's probably priceless artifacts that are gone in billionaire collections, and it's just total disregard for culture and people. And in Central America, the Spanish really just horrifically decimated those people, with, the conquistadors and just what they did to Mexico City. And it is really tragic. And these guys, it was like, your gods are less than my God. And if you don't bow down now, we will burn your city to the ground. And, hundreds of Aztec Mayan books, or Aztec or Mayan, or all Incan books are just burned in piles, to where there's only like, I think 5 books left total in the Mayan culture out of thousands. And it's just all their gold, scepter, or like just their precious like idols and stuff are melted into gold bars to be sold for currency, and it's just really horrible. So I think that's good that you incorporate that, because some people might not, I mean, a lot of us know about that, but some people might not, Yeah, it's go ahead. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but there was a guy in Brazil named General Candido Rondon. He actually helped guided Theodore Roosevelt to find the River of Doubt and all of that. He was one of the most accomplished explorers and just men of that time, and I did not know anything about him or hear anything about him until I read a book about him, and it was just amazing. And like, if you read the Theodore Roosevelt version, it just makes him seem like a guy, but this guy was so accomplished, and he put thousands of miles of track through South America and surveyed the area and like collected specimens for this museums down there. Like, they have the biggest, I think it's botanist collection, like of all the species of that time. He was just like everywhere and everything, and he like helped overthrow government, and he was just like a badass. And we don't know about him because he's a Brazilian indigenous person. He came from a small tribe, and just people saw that he was really incredibly smart, so they sent him to university, and he became just this force. And he and Fawcett actually did not get along, because Fawcett said he was a man above his station, and he just needed to recognize his place.
Big ego.
And it was for men.
Massive ego.
Yeah, it was for men of the Royal Geographical Society's job to do the exploring of his own country.
Jeez.
So
that's crazy. Wow. Man. God, could you imagine just living back in that time? And it's like, I feel like now it's like we're all educated on just what being a piece of shit is, like, prejudice. But like, to those people back then, there's just like, at least the white people, is just like, it was not a thought in those guys' minds. It just blows me away. Like, when you talk about it, it just seems like so fictional versus like what it actually probably was.
Well, and I think we're also dealing with a lot of things now that unfortunately we were dealing with 100 years ago. We're still dealing with a lot of the same prejudices, just in different ways and maybe on a different scale. But we still are looking down upon people of color or indigenous people or whatever, and still acting so privileged. Maybe not to such a degree, but it's just still such a thing, and our governments still suck. And it's like,
what kills me is when I see these. And look, like, I look at Christianity. I think Christianity, if you practice it, like, I think it's a beautiful religion. But when you start taking any religion and forcing it down anyone's throat, I have a problem with that. It's like, if you want to be part of something, then you will join it. But if you start advertising to me like a YouTube ad, that I don't want to be part of that. And when you see these missionaries go into these uncontacted tribes in the Amazon, for instance, that are thousands of years separated from modern culture, where they just, you can't even talk to them without potentially exchanging diseases. Like, they're so isolated. And so when you see these TikToks and these videos of these missionary pilots, like, trying to reach these people, and they get arrowed.
Just leave them alone.
Like, can you guys just leave them alone? Like, I'm not just saying, I don't want to just call out any one religion here, because a lot of them do it. But Christianity obviously is the most famous one, and it's just yeah, it's horrible. Like if you look at least like, you look at North Sentinel Island, they know where they're like, hey, if you come near this island, we will kill you. We will eat you.
And can you really blame them?
Yeah,
You know, it's
those
leave
elders
us
are like,
alone.
no, we don't want nothing to do with your guys' shit. We're gonna hang out over here and hunt fish or whatever.
We're
You
keeping
know?
it simple.
We're keeping it simple. You know, we'll put
Yeah.
coconuts over our nuts and we'll be good.
Wow.
And you know how much more mentally healthy would we all be if we just did that?
Right.
Disconnected.
Yeah. This isn't natural.
And just being
like,
community.
Living
Right.
on an
Yeah.
island or putting coconut over our nuts?
I mean, yeah.
I mean,
Well,
yes.
yeah.
So, how do you feel this book compares to what you have written in the past? Like, I know, like, it's not a series, so it's kind of its own thing, but what do you think about it?
I don't know. I feel like it was my first big kid adult book, even though I've written way adultier, bigger kidder books. But I just feel like a lot was dealt with, and like I say, there was a lot of care put into it with the historical aspects and the characters themselves. And you know, it's a part of it is their friendship and healing and learning to live as adults. And it's just very different than my other books. I don't know if it's because it's historical fiction or what the focus of it is on, but it just felt really different. And I also wrote it in third person. All my other books were written in first person, and this one was written in third because I just felt like it was more accurate to the historical fiction vibe. And again, I wanted to challenge myself. So that also, like, people that have been reading it and have read all my other books, like, this feels like, not that it's written by a different person, because your trademark stuff is all still in there, but it just feels so much more evolved and leveled up. So other people are noticing what I'm feeling, I guess.
So, okay, and forgive me, you know, I'll cut it out, whatever, but Elena Isaacs, that's, like, not a thing anymore compared to Noah. Like, I'm just trying to, like, does that, like, that's your old shit and this is your new shit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm still using that pen name. That was one that I first started with The Eternal Machine, and I used that for Fam and Rook and the other books in that series, and I'll keep it for that series just because I've already started it, and it's a big pain in the ass to change it all. But I think the rest of my books will now be over there.
Damn. Well, I mean, if it kind of works, you know, if you say this is your first big kid book, it's like, all right, this is the real deal. You know, your name is Noah. Like, this is where it's going. It's cool to see that. You know, I never asked you about that, so I'm just glad to get clarification.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I'm sure other people are wondering, why the heck did you do that? And it's like, well, because I wanted to.
You know what? That's it. That's what we gotta do because
Period.
you want to. You know, it's your shit, and I feel like that's what's cool about being someone like yourself, like an indie author. Is it's like if you want to do, that's your shit. So you don't have to answer to nobody.
Yeah.
You know, besides an editor maybe, but no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Is there should anybody? Would you suggest any of your previous books you've wrote to read before this one, or is this just like, you know, go ahead and start it, you know? Yeah.
I mean, it really depends on what you like. Everything else is fantasy. The Rebel Foxes is that is a mashup of like dystopian, 1930s, diesel punk, fantasy, mutant vibe. It's very cathartic and eat the government. And then the rest of them are like kind of more sweet fantasy, romance, urban fantasy, like solar punk kind of a vibe. But if you just really like historical fiction, then I would just go with that one.
Okay.
Are a lot of your books written in the 19th century?
This is my first historical fiction, and the rest are just like my made-up worlds, where it's just like fantasy, like different vibes of it. I kind of try to put like a twist on it. So like Phantom and Rook, it's all solar punk, so everything's got solar panels. Wind turbines, accessible cities, there's a big tree, there's a mushroom tree, there's just, it's all weird fantasy shit.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah. What's the name in the Eternal Machine? What's the name of like the worldscape again? I forget.
Iverborn.
Oh,
yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
And that was the steampunk vibe. It's like fae, because I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I'm like, cool, I can do this, but better. And disabled, queer, and just violent. So that's what I did.
I loved Eternal Machine, man. Like, it was your first book, and I read it, and, I read it all the way to the end. It's a great series.
Well, I hope so.
Well, yeah, but it's just like, I've heard you say before, you're like, oh, yeah, I rushed through that, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I fucking loved it. I thought it was great,
Yeah, and it is like the core is so good, and that's why I want to redo it and give it, just some polishing.
I feel like it really, in a way, like kind of encompasses like who you were at the time, especially, but just like what you're about in a way, I think it's really cool.
Well, you get that special insight too, because they're your sibling.
Right. Yeah, that is true. But it just makes me
appreciate it that much more.
It makes me appreciate it that much more.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just super cool to hear him say that.
So
because I don't like my siblings that much.
That is hilarious. We don't always do. I'm just kidding. I love all you guys. So what's next? Is this just like you're gonna do it, put it out, and take a breather for a minute, or is there anything else?
I wish.
So what else is on the menu for you then?
So my thing lately has been anthologies. I was in one for Rainbow Crate. They're the people that do special editions of books. So they did a special edition of Phantom Brook, actually. And then I was in their winter anthology. And then I was in another anthology for Me to You. What is an anthology? It's a collection of short stories by different authors.
Okay.
That's cool.
All right.
Yeah, and I hate short stories, or I used to.
And, so they don't have anything to do with each other. They're just separate stories.
Right.
Right, okay.
So they're usually the one by Rainbow Crate, it was winter holiday. So everyone kind of did a winter holiday thing. Mine was more like a Yuletide kind of a vibe than Christmas. And then this other one I was in that's actually up for pre-order was called From Me to You, an anthology of human connections, and it's about the connections we make with people. My story was about a phone booth, like from the perspective of a phone booth. And there was like a runaway teen, and then people get a call from the person they need to talk to most. So it's a runaway teen gets a call from their mom. And kind of, the ensuing conversation. And then I actually helped kind of put together one. I do a podcast with 6 of us all together, and we were like, let's do an anthology. So we did. My short story is almost 20,000 words. And we each did a story based on tarot cards. Mine was Temperance, which is like a lot about balance. There's 2 different cups. So, of course, I was like, I'm going to write a story about an old man who wants to eat himself off a mountain because he's sick of everyone's shit.
Damn, dude.
So, and then he finds all these weird forest creatures, and stuff kind of escalates very quickly. So we did that, and that comes out next month. So anthologies, and then my next 11 book's going to be next year. It's the 3rd book, so in the Phantom Brook series.
So you stay pretty busy with the writing, right?
Yeah, I try to. I haven't really, during all the release stuff, because it was a lot and just burnt out. But I've been, so part of the Kickstarter, one of the goals was bonus stories, kind of an epilogue for after this. So I can't really say without giving the ending away, but it's like what happens after. And it's different perspectives from different characters. So it's not just these 2. You get to see the other crew members.
So people that get the book and read the book should look forward to that.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's cool. Yeah, man. That's that's really awesome. You work hard, and I feel like that's good that you stick with it because, if you just, I'd imagine, just like anything, if you put it down for a year and you go to pick it back up again, it's almost like learn how to ride a bike again. You gotta be like, oh fuck, where do I get this boat going? And so the fact that you stay on it like inspires me, and it's you work really hard, and I think your work shows. I haven't read everything you wrote, I'm not gonna lie, but it's just from what I've heard about Phantom and Rook, and with this book now, I can only imagine just how much better it's getting for you. And Phantom and Rook, I see TikToks about that everywhere. Well, I won't say everywhere, but I have seen them, and from just random accounts. So the fact that that right there, I feel like it's just saying something in and of itself. And so
I mean that came out like 3 years ago, and people are still like kind of discovering it too, I think, which is nice. Like just because like you release something and then time passes and you're like, well, it's been 2 years, no one's going to care about it. People still pick up and discover things later. Like, so don't get discouraged if things don't kick off right away.
Right, and I feel like books are especially like that, where it might take some time to stew. Like even some TV shows are kind of like that, or podcasts. You might put out 100 episodes before people really start picking up traffic on it.
And like even you definitely seem more comfortable as we're both twiddling with our headphones, but we're still doing the thing.
I think that's called ADHD.
Even if you're nervous.
Right. Yeah. I think they call that ADHD. No.
Yeah, anxiety, ADHD, whatever you want to call it.
No. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, for this, I still got a lot to learn, but I try my best to keep consistent. And that's, I think, is the key, is just being consistent at anything in life, and it's, you work hard at it, you'll get results if you stay on top of your game. Period. Well, so say we got what was next. How I kind of asked you this. I mean, it was about the Kickstarter thing, but for anyone listening who might be considering writing a book, just in general, what is there any like just some guidance you can give to anybody who might be listening? Like, if you have an idea, just go for it, or what are some steps?
I have talked about it a little bit. I have like a Patreon, and I put a lot of free resources on there, just like as far as the rating part. But when it comes to publishing, a lot of people go with Amazon because they give you the free ISBNs, and it seems really easy and great. A lot of people are really trying to shift away from Amazon. And another really good alternative is Draft to Digital. They can give you, so an ISBN is an identifier number, so basically they're expensive. You can buy like a 10-pack for $300 or one for like $195. So it's really stupid and expensive and whatever, but this basically helps you be found by bookstores and stuff and identifies your book. So you can get a free one through Draft to Digital for ebook or print. And then they can help you set up your files. So if you have no idea how to format, they have tools to help you do it. And there's a lot of free things to get you started. And like I said before, I would really, for your first book, just dip your toe in and don't go completely all out. Like, give it your best. And people will still love it. Like, I have people that love the Eternal Machine still, even though it was a wreck. But I'm so glad that I did it, because I wouldn't be here without that stepping stone. But just go slow, and like I really wish that I had done that, and I think you'll be a lot happier with your stories. And with the publishing thing, just find your community, because they will help boost you up, especially if you're helping them out. Like, and just not just because you want the boost, but truly try to find other people, because they will help guide you, and you will learn a lot from them. I think those are the big things.
Right on. Well, I think that's well said. How can people find you? Websites, TikToks, your podcasts?
Well, I'm so cool now that you can just Google me.
Oh, wow.
And I do have a website. It's the nationalpublishing.com. Like I say, just look up any of my books, or my pen name, and it should just come up. On Goodreads.
And we'll tag the links into the video description as well for people. Well, is there anything you would like to add before we go?
Yes, I want to show you my stuff, okay?
Please.
So The stuff involves they went on a real cruise ship. I had to look it up which cruise ship went from New York City to Brazil in 1930 because that was super important.
Yeah.
So I got a matchbook because it was the Furnace Prince.
Oh, wow.
And you can't really see it, but Andy actually helped me revive it because it was just the cover. So there's that. This is from the Snake.
That's like
refurbished matchbook.
Wait, is that like an authentic?
Yeah, that's the matchbook.
Holy shit!
Really? Holy shit!
That's from the cruise ship they went on. Ship later got refitted for World War II and was used for that and got blown up. But
a lot of them did, yes.
This is a postcard from the snake farm that they went to in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, the Butantan snake farm, and this is where like Fawcett went there, and a lot of people go there to get anti-venom.
Oh, wow.
And it was how it was made, which is another thing that's explored in the story, and it's really rough to read because animal testing is not great.
No.
Especially back then.
Yeah.
So, but how else are you? It's like, again, you have to have anti-venom.
Yeah.
And that's how they knew how to make it at the time. So, and then Cornelius is a photographer, and this is his camera.
No way.
Whoa.
And
Wait, like that's the kind
actually,
he used, or like?
this is the exact kind. It's in really rough shape. It's a Kodak Eastman.
I mean, the thing's almost 100 years old.
Does that thing work?
And no.
Oh.
It is very, I don't know if I could close it without it completely crumbling to dust.
Yeah,
It's like, but in the back, there's this, what makes this one special is the autographic version, is you open this thing, maybe, and it reveals a part of the film so you can write on it. That was the first one where you could do that.
You can write, you can
So-
put your caption on before you took your shot.
Yeah, so you have to like hold it down here, and you have to look in here, and I can see you now. That's how you would have to do it. So that was another thing. Like, how do you find developer when you're in the middle of the jungle, and how do you develop pictures?
Yeah.
They use
So it
some
was
very
really
toxic
cool.
shit.
Yeah.
Breathe when you take a
Wicked.
picture.
Right, they're just using yeah, crazy stuff. That's so cool. I forgot you had. I forgot you had that, or I would have asked about it earlier. That's so cool.
It's okay. I was ready. It's like,
You came prepared for class. I love it.
I did.
What was the name of that other book too? That like the David one that talked about.
Yeah, so we got Exploration Fawcett, which was by Percy and by himself, and then The Lost City of Z was by David Gran, and he went to all the places Fawcett went and went to look for him, like evidence, where he might have been. And there's actually a movie made about it. I don't love the movie. I did watch it because I had to, but and then this one is about Theodore Roosevelt going with Candido Rondon, and that was just kind of to help us in research on the area because they went a little bit earlier. It was 1910s. So yeah.
Word. Well, then you're a big stack. you're
Yeah.
wood. Well, all right, man. Well, I feel like this is great, and I'm proud of you. You worked so hard, and this is really cool that you got this done. Anyone that listens to this, please check out their books, anything, like, please. But I can't wait to read a copy for myself and, give you some feedback on it. It's going to be great, I'm sure. But this was awesome, and, thank you for taking the time to do this, and, I'll post the links to your stuff so people can help you. And yeah, if there's any last minute thoughts before we go.
I love you and you're amazing.
I
Thank
love
you.
you. And you are also amazing. You're the best ever. All right. Well, I guess I think we're almost an hour in. Yeah. I don't know.
Is that? I'm sweating. Wow.
I'm always sweating when I do this, but
Yes.
yeah. Keep killing the game. Just like the rest of you guys. Thank you all for watching. It's the Hella Dank podcast. Noah Hawthorne, Maddie Malden. We'll catch you on the flip side. Happy Friday. Happy Halloween, motherfuckers.
Happy Halloween.
Oh, that's another. What are you for Halloween, Noah?
Oh my god. Tired parent. In like a onesie, Lilo and Stitch kind of a thing. I don't even know. It's pajamas.
Send pictures, please.
It's gonna be raining, so I need all the layers.
All the
Potato
layers.
sack, fuck it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, keep it real, and I'll send you the link, and I'll talk to you soon. I love you very much, and thank you for being my rock and so cool.
Of course. Thank you for being so cool. Call me in a little bit if you got times.
Potentially. we'll see. All right. I love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.